All right, so for this review, we're going to look at two-point perspective. And two-point perspective's got some of the same rules that apply in one-point perspective, in the meaning that we have a horizon line. So you will have a horizon line here in the middle part of your design. You will still have vanishing points, but now instead of having them located in the middle like one-point perspective, your vanishing points will be located outside, and they're going to be on the outside edges of your drawing paper. A lot of times they'll be extended all the way off your drawing paper so that you can kind of see more space in that area. The general rule that changes here with two-point perspective, other than moving the vanishing points and having two, is that you're always going to start with the center or corner of a building, so a line, and that's what's going to allow you to draw it correctly. So for this design, just like we did with our previous one, we're going to draw 3 to 4 buildings. So I need to start with a corner, or in other words, a line that comes out the closest towards us visually. Once that line is drawn and it's vertically up and down, then what I'm going to do is take my ruler, and I'm going to line up my ruler with my vanishing points on one side. I'm going to go from the bottom of that line and the top of that line, and I'm going to make those lines connect with my vanishing point, so it starts to establish what I'm going to see for the actual corner view of my building or my structure. Okay, so you can see from that corner, these two angles are going back in space both directions. I'm going to now set up the sides of my building. So I'm going to decide how thick, how wide I want this one to actually go. And I'm the artist, I kind of can decide. Sometimes you'll be looking at a visual that might help you as well. But I need to draw a vertical line in between the guidelines on both sides, the left and the right, to establish the two sides of that building or structure. And as we've done with previous practice, anything I'm not using for guidelines, I'd go back in, I'd erase. I don't want those to show through as far as like the overall composition or design. And I've got my first structure, my first building drawn. The goal is to create 3 to 4. So that means I might have to look at making some of these in different spots or different locations. Again, like this one's a little bit closer to this vanishing point. So I'm going to move my ruler, shift this over, and then I'm going to use the opposite side just like we did before. So I'm using the 2 vanishing points going to the left, going to the right from the top and bottom of that corner. And then once they go back in space, then I'm going to use vertical lines to establish the thickness or the sides of my building or structure. And again, I'm going to erase what is not necessary or what is not going to be used. This one kind of overlaps with the first building that was on the worksheet, so I can kind of just erase what I know is not going to be necessary, okay? I have to still fit a third one in that I've drawn. Again, I can overlap. If I wanted to, I could stack them up on top of each other. So again, it just really doesn't matter as long as you're using the actual process correctly. So this one I'm going to kind of tuck back behind that other building. Maybe I'll make it overlap a little bit back behind these ones here on this side, but not so much on the opposite side. But again, I'm still using my vanishing points on the top. I'm just not going to be able to see the bottom of this building because it's going to overlap with the ones that I've already created. Okay. Difference, general rule of thumb with two-point perspective is now when I start to do doors, windows, siding, bricks, I have to use the respective vanishing points on either side of the building I'm drawing them on. So if I'm going to put windows on this building here, I have to use my right vanishing point because it's on the right side of that corner center area. And I'm going to use that for the top and bottom. I'm going to still use vertical lines going up and down to divide the space. Want to make sure my ruler stays straight. And then I would do the opposite for the other side. So if I was going to do, again, like a long window on this side, I'm going to use the left vanishing point because this is the left side of the building from the center. I'm going to still use vertical lines that go up and down to divide that space. Let's make like a little window frame in the middle here. So again, you can start to see, like I can create details, I can create textures, I can do siding, bricks, but the goal is I have to use my vanishing points on either side. I can't just randomly guess. So all of these lines for siding, because it's the right side of the building, they're going to the right vanishing point. And I can start to see how those angles differ and change depending on the side of the structure or the building I might be working with. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna kind of figure out where you want those details and some of those parts of the buildings to go. I'm just creating like some little siding panels here on this building. I created windows on the opposite one, but again, I'm making sure I'm using the 2 vanishing points correctly as I start to design it based on 2-point perspective.